Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. How y'all doing? Good? All right, that's great. We're about to get things started. We are Black in Technology. This is our annual tech symposium, Afropix 2024, and we're excited to have y'all here. So, quick introduction. Thank y'all. Quick introduction about the team. We're going to have black t-shirts on and a name tag like this. If y'all have any questions throughout the tech symposium, feel free to reach out to us, and we will be able to help y'all as best as we can, okay? All right. And so, in terms of Afropix, a quick glance of what we have is that it's an annual day-long tech symposium where we provide resources, opportunities for Black and underrepresented folks within the tech space. This includes a keynote speaker that we have, a sponsorship fair, workshop, and mentorship sessions where you'll be able to meet with our great corporate sponsors, and they'll be able to inform you all about how they got into the tech space and also what their company has to offer. We also have an alumni panel from previous graduates, and they will explain their experiences within the tech space. We also have an Afropix after party, which is held at a venue on Franklin Street. That being said, a quick thank you to all of our company sponsors that we have out here. That being said, there is an online form that we would like for y'all to fill out in terms of mentorship sessions that we have available. And there's only about 6 folks that have applied to it already. So just want to get word out there for y'all to make sure to apply. It's off of our Afropix website. So if y'all don't mind taking a quick second to at least pull it up, do that, that would be great. Yeah, so with our company sponsors, Fidelity, Unix, Wells Fargo, the list goes on. So make sure to take advantage of meeting these folks and be able to progress in their tech career as well. All right. And so in terms of getting the most from your experience here over at Afrotech, make sure you attend all sessions. That also takes place in line with what we have for our Afropix after party portion, which I'll get into explaining a little bit later. Make sure you also network with our sponsors and fellow attendees. The importance of that is that since this is a tech symposium, we want to make sure that you get the most out of it with meeting folks that are like-minded with you all in the tech profession. Make sure to participate in our raffle. We are raffling off a MetaQuest, PS5, and I believe an Apple TV as well. And so participate, y'all have the raffle tickets. Make sure y'all drop them in the box. And so we will have the raffles going off out the after party as well. So yeah, make sure to also inquire about tech topics and career paths with either your peers or also tech professionals over here. And join us for our Afropix after party taking place off of Franklin Street. And so whether you are a first year or a 4th year and beyond, make sure to take advantage of the resources that we have for you all today. The tech professionals here want to reach out to y'all, want to get to know y'all, want to talk to y'all. So make sure that you do that. Also, with all the resources that we have over here, we want to make sure that you all have a great experience to help propel y'all going further into your tech career. So please keep that in mind, okay? And so now getting to our speaker, Dennis Howard Gilham Jr. He has spent a decade working in Fortune 500 companies, starting his career as a software developer and working his way to his current role as a senior technical product manager at Electronic Arts. Technical product manager, beyond the corporate world, Dennis is involved in community service projects such as supporting the B. Martin Foundation and volunteering his time for speaking opportunities like Game Developers Conference. Dennis's commitment to both professional excellence and community impact embodies a holistic approach to personal and career development. Join him as he instills a decade of experience, offering students a roadmap to success in the ever-evolving tech landscape. Without further ado, give a warm welcome to our speaker, Dennis Howard Gilham Jr.
Good afternoon, everybody. It feels so great to hear an introduction like that. Like, great job, Paul, great job. And if this is something that you guys want in your future, it's something that is easily obtainable, as long as you work hard at it. All right, so, we up there. I won't have any speaker notes, but that is okay. So as Paul just introduced, my name is Dennis Gilham. If you call me Mr., I'm gonna think you're referring to my dad. I'm not that old, okay? I graduated class of 2015 from New York Tech with a degree in electrical and computer engineering. I spent most of my career in the aerospace and defense industry. In 2021, I burnt out and thought I had to change careers because what I was doing was not working for me and it wasn't working out for what I was contributing to the world. So I stopped being in the aerospace industry, took a year to network, train, and became a senior technical product manager at Electronic Arts. By a quick show of hands, are there any people here who are fans of college football? Specifically the college football game that came out in 2014? Because EA just dropped the trailer, so enjoy that. Before I continue with my talk, I'm gonna need a little bit of help. I've heard that Gen Z is really on it when it comes to online activism, and I might need a little bit of help with something. On my way here from Orlando, where I currently work, to here to Raleigh, I went to Chick-fil-A. I ordered a grilled chicken club. You know, it has chicken patty, bacon, lettuce, tomato. And when I opened it, they gave me a salad with bacon and 2 giant croutons on top. So I might need some help on getting my money back. And I have no idea how to go about this. So I could use some of your online activism. Chick-fil-A. All right. I just want to open it up a little bit. Okay. So I want to take a little bit to understand if my college experience was similar to your college experiences. I know when I was going to college, this is back in 2010, such a long time ago when I think about it, I was feeling like this was the only way in order for me to make it out of my circumstances. Getting an engineering degree, getting a job, finding a way to give back, finding a way to support my family, going to college was my only way. So you don't have to clap for any of you who don't want loud noises. I know they were serving chicken and waffles upstairs, so you might be feeling a little bit sleepy. But we're just gonna snap our fingers, okay? So I want you to snap your fingers if coming to this school was not your first choice. Okay, when I went to New York Tech, it wasn't my first choice either. I applied to more prestigious schools, but it ended up being that my mom's alma mater was the place that accepted me, and I was able to make lemons with lemonade. So this is a great school. You're gonna get a great, fantastic education, and what matters is what you do with it afterwards. Snap your fingers if you may be the first person in your family to graduate with a STEM degree. Okay. What you will encounter, and I'll go through this more in my talk, is that when you go into these Fortune 500 companies, you're gonna find people who have generations of being in STEM. I know that when I first started my career at Northrop Grumman, I was working with people who went to MIT, who went to Harvard, who went to Stanford, and then there was me, first person to graduate with a STEM degree in my family. While I was learning basic arithmetic and math through computer games, they were learning how to code from their family members who were already in big tech. I'll go deeper into that later in my talk. Snap your fingers if you feel like right now you're drowning in coursework. Okay, I remember when I was getting my engineering degree, it felt like all of my professors were assigning me work as if they were my only professor. And learning how to manage that, learning how to balance your work-life balance, it's gonna be hard right now, but it'll be a little bit more easier once you graduate because as an adult, you'll have the money, you're young, so you'll have the energy, and you'll have the time to balance it all. You don't have to just choose between social life, schoolwork, and sleep. Lastly, snap your fingers if you feel uncertain about your future. Okay, I'm 31, I'm working at EA right now, but this is not the end for me, and where you guys are at right now is not the end for you either. Life is long, life is beautiful, and you're gonna have the education to make the right choices to do whatever you wanna do. And when I say do whatever you wanna do, I'm certainly doing whatever I wanna do. You can see in the upper right-hand corner, I was learning how to do hula. In the bottom, I was an actor, so this is me in a Shakespeare called The Tempest. This is me acting at a haunted house as a zombie. I used to be a streamer. I've tried my hand at DJing. I do cycling with like 400 people at a time taking over the streets of Orlando. I rock climb. I do so many things. And like I said, when you find the right job that aligns with your values, there's nothing in the world that can hold you back from doing what you want to do. But you do have to acknowledge the adversity that is in your way, the obstacles that you have to jump over in order to find the right solutions that you need. So I want to talk a little bit about where I came from before all this lavish things. When I was a child, I had no idea that Black people could do any of those things I just showed previously. Where I'm from in Yonkers, New York, at the time, it's a really beautiful city. We live right along the Hudson River. Have you guys been to New York City before? You can just snap your fingers. Okay. Well, Yonkers is like the 6 boroughs right above the Bronx. Really beautiful city, especially if you live near the Hudson River. But most people don't know this, that when I was growing up in the 90s, it was the 13th out of 199 metropolitan cities that are segregated. So it was like number 13. The lower the number, the more segregated the city is. My mom, she grew up in housing projects known as Schlogum. And there's a series about the segregation that took place in Yonkers and the efforts to desegregate it. It was number 13 in the 90s, and it's like number 43 out of 199 in 2024. So a little bit of progress has been made, but not too much. I remember growing up, when I went to elementary school, middle school, only up until high school, I only went to school with Black and brown faces and poor white folks who were in my schools. The way the city is managed is that you have the richer, lighter folks on one side of the city, and their neighborhoods contribute to their school zones, giving them new books, giving them pristine field, giving them electives. And then you have the poor folks who live in a concentrated part of the city, and their small tax dollars fund dilapidated schools, 30-year-old textbooks. I remember seeing signatures from 1982 in my history textbooks. This is like in the late 2000s. So it was difficult growing up where I came from and seeing a future outside of what was within my surroundings. Even if you managed to make it out, you weren't too far from poverty. What you're looking at on the left-hand side is like, it's close to the apartment buildings I used to live next to. And I woke up seeing the smoke plume of a sugar factory right on the river every single day. In my area, there are very high rates of asthma, very high rates of eczema, very high rates of heart disease. Most people are high rates of addiction. And it was pretty difficult having to navigate through that, having to keep the vision in mind that someone who looks like you will be able to make it out of a situation like this. And it did not happen without help. So I have about, I want to say 8 tips, and this is the first one, which is DEI initiatives change lives. And if there is a DEI initiative that you can be a part of, it is effective, it works. This country was built on systemic racism, and it will take systemic inclusion in order to undo that. And there's been several moments in my life where programs have helped me get ahead. So growing up as a kid, that's like me, I think it's like my first time ever at an arcade. It was like my 6th birthday. My parents, they had a degree, and they both had degrees. My mom has 2 master's degrees. She was in education. My dad, he had a degree in architecture and social work, but both of them, they couldn't make it through corporate America. It was pretty rough for them, so they had to settle for more blue-collar jobs. So I remember going to school 7 in the morning and coming home from school at 7 p.m. So I was part of the early morning and after school program because my parents were working. And what really supplemented my education were the video games that my parents bought me to teach me how to read, teach me math, teach me how to write, teach me science. I remember really early on, my dad reading Dr. Seuss with me to teach me how to read. And other kids where I grew up, they didn't have that support at home. So like they 100% dependent on their underfunded public schools to give them an education. But because I had parents that were able to invest in me, I was consistently in academically talented classes. Now, whether or not I was academically talented, like relative to my peers, it seemed like it. But if it wasn't for those programs that were looking out for people like myself, who knows what my future would have been like. I remember, growing up, it was pretty tough because I never really saw any examples of Black engineers, Black scientists, unless it came around to being Black History Month like it is right now, where I would learn about people like George Washington Carver, Mae Jemison, Neil deGrasse Tyson. And it was through watching a lot of TV shows, honestly, like the Science Channel, like the Animal Planet, like Discovery Channel, where I could see that there was a future, and I would have to imagine that I could be a scientist like that. In high school, I went to a trade school known as Saunders Trades and Tech. So they had majors similar to like how you have college majors. So when I was in middle school, like I said, our schools were underfunded. So like I lost electives like music, like art, home economics, but my high school was able to supplement some of that education, and I had a major in electrical and computer circuitry. So if I didn't graduate high school again, which many people from my area didn't, the last time they graduated was high school, I could have got a job as an electrical technician. I could have got a job at Geek Squad fixing computers. And I could have got a job at Cisco as like an IT specialist, things like that. While I was in school, I made sure to enrich my education by doing extracurricular activities. How many of you here are involved in extracurricular activities outside of just your regular coursework? You snap your fingers? That's great, because those activities, they show up on your resume and it's gonna help you. Employers, I was just a part of rounds to employ entry-level employees at EA. And we see the coursework that someone has undertaken, but we also see that when they do things outside of their work that contributes directly to our initiatives, that those people have a lot more drive than others to do what needs to be done in the workplace. It takes that drive when you are on the job sometimes. Like, sometimes your job can't be 40 hours a week. Sometimes it has to be 50 or 60. Sometimes you have to go that extra mile in order to get things done and have that impact. And we look at those kind of things. So don't discount your extracurricular activities, the clubs that you join, and the efforts that you take a part of, because they certainly helped me. I received my first internship when I was at New York Tech through a company called Inroads. Yeah. Oh, okay. What's up, Brianna? All right. We'll connect afterwards. I received my first internship from a nonprofit company called Inroads. Their job was to get people like myself from underprivileged areas, get them internships into Fortune 500 companies. And I had a 3.0 GPA at the time, my freshman year, and I was able to get a software engineering internship at a company called Pitney Bowes. It's like a stamp postage company. Their thing was they could create magazines and stamp envelopes like 10,000 in an hour. It wasn't that impressive to me, but the internship was valuable. And if it wasn't for that company enabling me to get that internship, I probably would not have had any software engineering internships. It's kind of funny. After that, my freshman year, my GPA dropped. I went below a 3.0, and mostly due to the fact because I was an RA at New York Tech. Brianna and I actually served as RAs together in the early 2010s, so it was kind of funny. But yeah, like my GPA dropped below a 3, and I struggled for like the rest of my college career to get it at that point. So I got booted out of that program, and it wasn't until my senior year where I joined, it's similar to a group like this. It's like a Black in Technology group, but that group was called NSBE. There was a group called NSBE, and their main goal was to raise funds so that Black STEM students could go to the national convention where there would be a large student fair. So in 2014, I was able to save up all my lunch money, save up all my work study money, and attend that career fair. And I was like absolutely amazed at all the companies that were there. There was Facebook, there was Google, there was Lockheed Martin, there was Honda, and I had my resume ready to apply to all of them. But with the education that I had, the GPA that I had, it didn't work out for most of them, all except for one. I interviewed with the hiring manager at Northrop Grumman. It was a black man, and he understood like what Yonkers was. He understood my education. He saw the extracurricular activities that I did despite like drowning in coursework. What you see in this picture right here is me in high school. I created a robot, which was like it was really like more like a go-kart because it went pretty fast, but it was a wheelchair that would enable someone to go into an elevator. Normally you would have to like turn multiple times to fit into a tight space, but this wheelchair could like strafe left, strafe right, go forward, go back without having to rotate. And I created it for somebody who was, I would always see them struggling to get their wheelchair into the elevator every day. And so that hiring manager saw that project on my resume and saw that this kid has passion, this kid clearly is doing things to have an impact, he clearly has the drive, and he just needs the opportunity. And so he put my resume into the system at Northrop Grumman, and even though I didn't get hired immediately, I ended up achieving an internship with that company 3 months later. So I maintained that internship, and I was able to flip like I'm a house flipper. I was able to take that internship and network my way to an internship throughout the school year, my 5th year of study. And I would say at the second half of my last semester of school, so it's like January-ish, they gave me a full-time offer to work for them, but the caveat was that I had to leave New York and move to Florida. So I didn't see that I had any other option other than to do that. There were no other good paying jobs that I could take in order to pay back my student loans, in order to be able to support my family. So I ended up having to leave and join Northrop Grumman down in Florida in 2015. So from there is, I think a lot of that journey is where you guys are at now. And what the rest of this talk is gonna be about is the things I've learned along the way now that I've been in corporate America. How I was able to get to working at a company like Electronic Arts, which has nothing to do with electrical and computer engineering, but everything to do about my passion to create games and to create art that people can interact and engage with. Have any of you heard of this term called ikigai? You can snap your fingers if you have. Okay, so ikigai is a Japanese word that it means finding a reason for being. So what that means is finding an occupation that combines a job that pays well, because we all need money to survive in this world, but also a job that you're good at, something that you're skillful, something that you find yourself as distinguished from your peers, a job that you love. So it makes no sense if you're doing a job that pays well, you're good at it, but you don't like it, because then you won't perform at your best. Then you won't have the energy to take that extra step forward that is needed in order to have that impact and especially stay on board when layoffs come around, like that, what happens in the gaming industry. And a job that the world needs. So typically jobs that pay well are also jobs that the world needs, but not all the time. There are plenty of BS jobs out there that pay pretty well, and you're kind of just an overpaid servant. But if you can find a job that combines all 4 of these things, then you are less likely to burn out. You are more likely to find fulfillment in the thing that you're going to end up doing with most of your time in your adult life. I have a talk about this already, so I'm not going to spend too much time on how to find this. I think where you guys are at in your college careers, you have an idea of what you want, and it's probably more important that you find money to pay back your student loans immediately. But if you ever think about changing your careers, I have a talk that I did at GDC last March that you can check out and learn more about it. So what I want to talk to you next is about imposter syndrome. It took a while for me to learn that imposter syndrome is a part of the process when you are taking on a new role. When I first started my career at Northrop Grumman, so this is me moving from New York to Melbourne, Florida. It's like Eastern Florida. I have a degree from New York Tech, and I didn't find it that prestigious, and most of my other peers didn't, even though my managers saw potential in me. And I saw myself working with students from MIT, students from Harvard, students from Stanford, students from Brown, all schools, and students from Embry-Riddle, and these are all schools that specialize in aeronautic engineering. For my first couple months there, it was hard to not compare myself to their prestige. Like, what else do I have to base off of in terms of like why I'm here? I would say that my environment too was pretty conservative, and people would not be shy about talking about the diversity hires that were around in the company. And so that thought did weigh on me. It weighed on me pretty hard. And like my mom had always instilled in me that I would have to work twice as hard to get the equal amount that my whiter peers were achieving. And so I always maintained that mentality that I would be able to outwork them. Now, so like that was back in 2015. So I just recently got this job at Electronic Arts in 2022. And that imposter syndrome still stays with you. You will find yourself in these spaces, and you will find yourself with, if you are in the right spaces, if you are constantly surrounding yourself with people that are smarter than you, then you're gonna find people who are more prestigious than you. You're gonna find people who have more accolades than you. And it's only natural to compare yourself. But you will need to figure out a strategy to maintain your mind on the vision that you had when you got that job, and maintain your vision for what goals you came to achieve. Because just because they got those accolades does not mean that they can work as hard as you. I'm sure we all know of somebody who is taking our current coursework, and we know people who have cheated their way through school. And those people still exist in corporate America. So as long as you don't cheat yourself, it will show, your work ethic will show, and the prestige will come to you, the accolades will come to you also. When you're on the job, I think something that we forget is that, you know, getting a job is a lot of effort, but maintaining that job is a lot of effort too. As I like to say, there is the job that you have, the job that's on that job rec that you apply for, and then there's the meta job, the things that you need to do in order just to maintain your status there at the company. And if you ever see yourself as someone who wants to move up, let me take a step back. If you see yourself as someone who wants to live a comfortable life, someone who wants to just work 40 hours and go home, this will still apply to you. This will still apply to you. In the gaming industry, layoffs happen all the time. Like just in January, companies within the industry laid off like over 2,000 jobs. And that psychological safety that you will keep your job quarter over quarter is just not there. And that exists within big tech too. If you work for a Facebook, a Meta, a Microsoft, they do layoffs all the time. And so having to justify like your impact that you're having on that job is necessary. You want to always maintain a network within the space that you're in, and maintain a network in the industry externally. When I say maintain your network externally, that's like going to industry events like Afropix, like NESB, and just like keeping in contact with people that you've met who you feel like are good people, friends that you vibe with. A lot of people, they say like, oh man, I don't know how to network. It's just making friends. Sometimes you can network with people for a purpose because they can fulfill something in your life for that specific reason. But for me, it's a lot of work. I prefer to network with people who share the same values as I do. And sometimes that does mean that you don't advance as quickly as you want because it's more strategic. But what matters at the end of the day is, can you sleep at night because you're staying true to yourself. You're staying true to your own character. So your friends are your network. Your friends are your network. So I want to talk about a quick story about that. This right here is a photo that I took, posted on Instagram from a hurricane, my first hurricane when I went to Florida, called Hurricane Matthew. This blue dot right here is where I fled to, but where I was living was like right there where the eye was. So when the news came that it was coming, I had to get up out of there. The way that I ended up over here, I don't know anybody over there. I don't have any family in Tampa. I don't have any family in Florida. But the way I ended up getting over there was that my company was offering a course called Dale Carnegie. They had like a high impact presentations course and like a how to win friends and influence people course. And so in order to create a sense of belonging, I ended up taking that course and I met a number of great people there. One of the guys there, his name is Cam. He and I, we graduated same class. Most of the other people were older and looking to be managers, but he and I were just looking to have fun and meet new people. So we vibed, it was cool. And we stayed in touch. We would play volleyball together. We would go out to company happy hours together. When it turned out that this hurricane was coming, I was panicking because like I didn't know where I was gonna go. A couple of my coworkers were talking about going to Atlanta. Some of them were talking about going like as far as Mississippi because we were all scared. We had never been in Florida before, and so we had no idea what this hurricane was gonna bring, except what the news was telling us, which is just death and destruction. And so when we saw like the trajectory that it was gonna go up the eastern coast of Florida, I thought, okay, if I can just go to the west, then I'll be all right. And I was looking for places to go where I saw my colleague Cam post on Snapchat. He was driving on his way to his dad's vacation home. His dad was like a representative in Florida, associated with big money. They had a really nice big house in Florida where they would be safe. And so I messaged him on Snapchat like, hey, I'm looking for a place to go. Is it okay if I crash with you? And he was like, yeah, sure. And that would have never happened had I not, went to that class to like improve my skills and then kept in contact with the people that I had met there. Second, another guy that I met in that class, he was working on becoming a manager. Is anyone here familiar with what that photo is that I just posted? Okay. So that manager was like angling himself to become a manager on this project and he needed to hire some electrical engineers. So I let him know like, hey, I got a degree in electrical computer engineering and I'm looking to move, I'm looking for a change, something that's more exciting. And so long story short, when the opportunity came, because I kept in contact with him, because we were in the same class together and he saw that I had the drive and the work ethic to, do this type of work, I was one of the first people that he contacted in order to work on this project with him. Like in hindsight, I wish he hired more electrical engineers except me as the only one, but I ended up getting the job all because I maintained that network. So it's important, when you find people that you vibe with, that is in the same workplace as you, maintain those relationships. So this is about democratizing your knowledge. One of my managers told me never be an expert in anything unless you want to specialize that for the next 20 years of your life. And I thought like, wow, that sounds like quite an exaggeration, but in Northrop Grumman, there were plenty of people who made a career out of doing one thing. I met people who did data entry for 20 years, who did accounting for 20 years, and y'all saw like all the things I'm interested in. I can't keep still for more than 2 years, so there's no way I can do that. So she told me to democratize like my knowledge. What does that mean? That means when you learn something, you teach people. So this right here is a corporate flow chart. Once you get into corporate America, this is gonna be hilarious to you. But at the top is like your CEO, and when he looks down, all he sees is poop. And the bottom workers, where you guys will be at in your entry-level jobs, you look up and all you'll see is butts. But there's a way to overcome that. And that is, like, when you move up the ladder, don't kick it down. Continue to bring people up with you. And you can do that by finding a coach, finding a mentor, and finding a sponsor. So what is the difference between those things? It's really, really rare to find one person who could be all three of those things to you. A coach is somebody who you can talk to like, when you're having issues with your manager, you can debrief with them and talk about the situations, and they can provide you the soft skills to navigate the workplace culture so that you don't act out of character and lose your job. I have coaches in every single company I've ever worked in. I found people who were a little bit more senior than me, I found something that we could, I would ask them if I could have conversations about things that are going on and be vulnerable about areas that I need help with. And it's 80% of the time it's worked out. Sometimes you have people who don't give great advice, and that's okay. Not everybody can give the advice that you need. But when you do find that person, maintain that relationship. A mentor is someone who is, they could be a coach too, but tactically it's better for them to help you navigate the things that you need to do to have impact in your job. So in case you want to move up or move over, they are the person that will help you navigate that. And the sponsor is somebody who will be, with less poop on them, the executive or the manager who talks about all the great work that you do behind closed doors when you need it the most. You need somebody there in those rooms to advocate for you so that people know how much of a great job that you're doing. It can't just be in your work, but people have to talk about it. People have to know that you're doing a great job. This is still about democratizing your knowledge. You are a product of your environment, but your environment is also a product of you. Whenever I go into a new workplace, I try to make sure that it's a little bit better than what I left it. Whether that means that I see some type of process that could use some improving. I try to always leave a positive, as best as I can, a positive legacy wherever I work. So the person there is where you guys are at right now. Oh, am I reaching time? We're good? All right. So the person where you guys are at right now is where that first arrow is. You're seeking mentors, you're seeking coaches, you're seeking sponsors. But as you go through your career, you will need to start helping others out. You will try to find other people. You will see yourself in younger employees and younger engineers, younger STEM majors, and you will want to help them out, and you will offer them advice that you wish you had that they will use. And as that continues, your mentees will become mentors to other people, and you'll see how that legacy is starting to build upon itself until where this guy back here, he's just supervising, but he's looking at the legacy that he left, where the person he mentored is continuing the chain of giving back. I always try to be that person in any place that I work at. I only want people to say positive things when I go, and I want them to be sad when I go too. It's not a great thing if people are happy when you're leaving. The most important thing for you to be able to do any of this is to maintain your social life and what keeps you sane. When I was in college, it was choose two: sleep, social life, or work. And if you don't pay attention to it, your work life can be the same thing. It could be sleep, work, social life. And in many cases, you sacrifice your social life. Many cases, you sacrifice your sleep. Snap your fingers if you are getting less than 8 hours of sleep a day. It's cute right now, but when you guys get older, it's gonna catch up to you. Like, just wait, and like 2-3 years after you have your office job, you're gonna be like, wow, my back kind of hurts. My knees kind of hurt. My joints kind of hurt. Try to get as much sleep as you can. And while you're working, it's so important that you maintain your relationships, you maintain the things that make you feel good about yourself, the things that make you want to wake up every day and go to work, the things that bring you joy. You have to identify what those things are and maintain it. Maintenance doesn't always mean that you do it all the time, but when you start to feel that burnout coming in, that depression coming in, remind yourself, did I go outside and touch grass? Did I go to the basketball court? Did I go out and go have something to eat with some friends? I haven't seen that friend in a while. Am I feeling alone right now? You're gonna wanna ask yourself those questions and check in with yourself and make sure you're keeping up with the things that make you feel whole. Because work can stress you out. There's statistics about this. Black people, they have a tendency, because we know that we have to do more to obtain the same amount, that we end up taking on more work, that we end up saying yes to everything, and those expectations don't get lower. Even if our managers know that we're overloaded, They will still expect that when you said that you would get something done, that you will get it done. So learning how to say no and mastering that is a skill that you'll learn along the way. Ooh. So your job is using you as their resource. You need to use your job as your resource. So this is I love this episode of SpongeBob. If you've ever seen it before, is that him and Patrick were taking care of a claim, and he's like getting overworked right now. At first, it's all cute, and like Patrick is coming in, and he just sits down, watches TV, and goes out to work to watch TV, while SpongeBob is doing everything. And like this allegory directly applies to the workplace. If you keep saying yes to work, your job will happily continue to give you more work. It sucks, but the person who is the most efficient ends up getting the most stuff done, because the people above them, they look good when they're able to show impact and that their subordinates are getting things done. So they'll just go to the most efficient person who can deliver. And it will take a lot of work to be able to escape from that. So this is more about, while you are there are things that you can benefit from your job. Whether it is, if you work at a bank, then you should be asking your colleagues about financial advice. You should be asking people who are higher up than you, if you have created those relationships, like how is it that they're able to live the life that they live? I remember in my first year at Northrop, I had a great relationship with one of the senior engineers, and I remember he was working on his retirement one day. He was about a year from retirement, and he took a liking to me, and he brought me over to his desk one day, and he showed me his retirement savings. And he showed me that he had like $3 million and some change in his account. And I was like, damn, can I have $1 for I got some student loans I need to pay. But he told me that if you, like, pensions are no more. Like, for your generation, pensions are done. So the 401k is the way, and if you continue to invest, if you exceed the company match, if you put money in at the maximum allowable amount within your 401k, you too could have this money when you retire. No one had ever told me that growing up, going through middle school, high school, college. I had to learn that from somebody who was generous enough to give me that information. At my company, like, we had 3D printers, and so I would use, sometimes I would use that to like prototype different ideas, off the clock, of course. And so within your boundaries, I don't know where you will all end up, but within those boundaries, don't do anything illegal, but figure out how can you use your job's resources to achieve your own personal goals, whether that be personal finance, whether that be seeking opportunities like this, like a speaking one like I'm doing now. It's all in your court. And don't end up overworked like SpongeBob, because he is receiving absolutely no benefit. And then seize opportunities to create that sense of belonging. I heard a lot of snaps when I talked about people being involved in extracurricular activities. Statistics show that that when employees feel like they belong at their company, that the retention rates are over 50%. Sick rates, the amount that employees use sick days go down by 75%. And at the end of the day, revenue goes up because people are at work more and they're more productive. I'm not trying to preach that to you guys are not business owners, but what I am trying to preach is that if you feel like you belong at the company you work at, your life will be a little bit better. But there's still gonna be those tough days. There's no avoiding that. But generally speaking, if you feel like you belong and if you see opportunities where you feel like you can create that sense of belonging, I want you to take that initiative. You guys are all taking this initiative now by being here at this symposium, and I need you to keep that same energy when you enter the workplace. So we're coming up towards the end of time. I would love to open the floor to any questions that you may have about my experience, things I've been through, etc.
Alright, so within your profession, you have, I'm assuming, like, faced a lot of obstacles and adversity, and I feel as though you would be a little bit uncomfortable. Am I right or no?
What's your name, by the way?
Luis.
All right, Luis asked me, am I a little uncomfortable facing adversity in the workplace?
No, like, with your experiences, have you ever had to with facing that adversity, how do you become comfortable with being uncomfortable going into a new role?
Okay, the question is, have I faced any adversity through my professional experience, and how do I grow to be uncomfortable with being uncomfortable?
Comfortable with being uncomfortable.
How do I grow comfortable with being uncomfortable? Thank you. I want to make sure I got that right. So I'll answer the second question first and the first one. I think being comfortable with being uncomfortable comes with time. It's like, imagine where you're at right now. Do you remember how stressed out you were when you were taking, do y'all take state exams here in North Carolina? Okay, but we definitely do in New York. It's kind of crazy. You remember how stressed out you were during those periods of time? When you look back at it, you're like, wow, that's nothing compared to right now. Experience will like clear your eyes, clear your mind of all that you're going through. The good times are temporary and bad times are temporary. And so once you are acknowledged that you've been through probably worse than what you're going through now, you will have an understanding that just like the good times, the bad times will pass too. When it comes to facing adversity, plenty of times, like when I was hired at Northrop, they did a great thing in terms of they hired me and 3 other black people at the same time. So this is back in 2015, and in 2016, y'all know about the 2016 election. I was in Eastern Florida, and where I was working at is near the Melbourne airport. Trump would come through and do rallies there all the time. So I would hear bigoted language all the time. I would see, like, when he would come through for his rallies, it felt like 80% of the office would leave and go walk across the street to the airport to attend. That same exact person who showed me his retirement account also held bigoted views towards me, like on a high level, but when he got to know me personally, it began to deconstruct some of that internalized racism that he had. So yeah, like you will face that, but so long as you keep a strong network, so long as you have people in the workplace that you can confide in so you don't feel lonely, there's nothing you can't overcome. Question?
Hi, my name is Naya King, and I'm a junior IT student at North Carolina A&T. Given that I'll be a rising senior this year, and given the tougher job market that I'll be entering into come like fall 2024, do you have any tips on navigating a tough job market as a new grad or like incoming new grad?
So Naya asked me, do I have any tips on navigating the tough market as an incoming new grad?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think when I was a new grad, not even a new grad, when I was applying for colleges and applying for jobs, the biggest mistake that I made was discounting my experience and discounting that other employers would want me. I saw that I didn't have a 3.0 GPA. I had like a 2.99, and I thought that that's gonna hold me back. And that was such a silly thing to think. I made the mistake of not applying to enough jobs and not networking enough because I thought it would be a waste of time. So NYIT was not my first choice, but I only applied to 3 schools, so I didn't have many choices to choose from. When it came to Northrop Grumman, because I didn't believe in myself, when Northrop Grumman gave me an offer, that was the only thing I had on the table. So the best way to navigate these times right now is to continue what you're doing in terms of coming to events like this and meeting other people. I would encourage you to be vulnerable about the issues that you're facing, because the only way you're going to overcome them is if you admit that you have a problem so you can find that solution. I don't want you to shotgun and just apply to everything by just doing quick apply, but I do want you to take a targeted approach in terms of what is a job that, as I talked about the Ikigai philosophy before, that is a lot of going backwards. Finding a job that you're good at, that you love, and that you feel like the world needs. And I want you to focus your attention on jobs that fall within these 4 categories. Because once you get that job, you're gonna wanna stay. Thank you for the question. My question over here?
Yes, hi, my name is Shanae Wambaraju. I'm a computer science student at North Carolina A&T. And my question for you was, you talked about being, having a job in Eastern Florida, coming from New York, I'm personally from New Jersey. How did you navigate being around people who had different views, bigoted views, while still keeping that level of professionalism, and also not feeling like you're a stepping stone for them to get out of their thinking?
So Chineye
Yes.
So Chineye asked me, how do I navigate like bigotry and racism in the workplace?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm not a superhero, so it's like it's really hard. It's really hard, and the only way you can find your way through that is to find allies within your workspace. Whether that be other Black people also hold bigoted views against Black people too. So like not everybody is trustworthy of your vulnerability. But you will find those people who are allies who see the same BS that you're seeing. And they will be a great, initially it'll start off as y'all are just commiserating together, talking about all the stuff that's happening that y'all can't tolerate. But as that network grows, you guys will start to grow your power to take action, whether that means all of you collectively complain about a racist manager, or all of you collectively look at policies that are making your workplace experience live in hell and to do something about it. I believe in collective action. I believe that it's extremely hard to bring about systemic change by yourself, but together we can bring about that change. But at the end of the day, you will need to look at the systems that you have in place right now to not internalize any of that hatred that's being thrown towards you, and continue to invest in the friendships that make you feel whole, that make you feel like you can be the best that you want to be. I think I have time for one more question.
Hi, my name is Ian Tooks. I'm a sophomore computer science student at
Would you mind saying your name again, please?
Ian Tooks.
Ian?
Yeah.
Okay.
Going back to the Ikigai slide,
Yes.
I was just wondering if you could express how you knew that you wanted to move from the aerospace industry to EA, and like what parts of the, I guess, Ikigai where you feel like you were lacking and even more, I guess. Yeah.
I feel like this might be a little bit better to keep your eyes on. So, how much time do I have? All right, I'll try to wrap it up. If you look at, so when I initially joined Northrop Grumman, I had this idea that I wanted to do something that served my country. I've always struggled with being a Black engineer. Like, I've always struggled with the idea of, am I Black first or am I an engineer first? And when I graduated high school, I wanted to do something in robotics. And these were the biggest robots that I could work on at the time. And so, like, I combined in my mind that, like, I want to do something that serves the country. This is a well-paying job. The world, America, it was my world at the time, needs it. And it's something that I love. Until I started to realize, like, where America stands in the world and what the products I was working on was being used in the world. I remember I was at Lockheed Martin. This is like 2020, and I remember seeing like videos of like Israel and Gaza like shooting rockets at each other. And Lockheed Martin provides the Iron Dome to Israel, and I felt like, without like politics aside, I felt like what I'm doing is not keeping the world safe. So the world does not need this anymore, and it's starting to take a toll on my mental health, and I need to make a change. I saw that the way to make the world safer was to make online spaces safer. I saw, like, through the George Floyd protests, how much misinformation was leading to people just screaming at each other. And so I worked towards a job in trust and safety, where I work now as a senior technical product manager at EA. So thank you for your question, Ian. I think that's the end of my talk. It's been great being able to talk with you all today. This was my second talk ever that I've ever been invited to do, so I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
All right, could y'all give one more round of applause for David? So now we're going to get into our meet and greet, which is taking place back over in Citizen, and also the sponsor fair, where we have all our wonderful sponsors waiting to meet all of y'all. And I'll be over in Citizen as well. So if we can start making our way, thank y'all so much.
I had a feeling you might know this question. You just walked up to me like,
Right.
just
She comes over, acts on that.
so when you say you struggle with team friendships, what do you mean?
That's what I've heard. Like, it's.
Thank you so much. Y'all would like to work
I don't know how
Exactly.
Okay.
Real quick.
So, y'all still have like
A great opener that I would use is that like I would look at the person wearing.
Oh, yes.
And try to understand something about what they're wearing and make a compliment. So I would say, I really like your, like, is that a dragonfly or a butterfly? It looked like a dragonfly to me. I really do genuinely like your dragonfly necklace.
Even if I
Can
can
you say that? And I'd be like, so how would you tell me your black and tan?
Okay.
So you see that?
Oh my
So
gosh, that's beautiful.
you don't have to worry about like, oh man, what if they don't like me?
Exactly.
Most people like me and compliment you
And
on
it's
what
like,
they wear.
this past
Most
time
people
hackathon was a bit weird. We did collaboration with faculty state.
intentionally put on what they wear when they leave the house. Like so when they get complimented on it, they
But we're
really
not sure because faculty
that's
state has
a
like some
great
other things
icebreaker
going on.
to use.
That was so amazing.
Oh,
Yeah, faculty state has some other things going on internally. So we're like, all right, let's back up on it. So like, we think this like be really
You
promising.
gotta let go of the feeling. That's the first thing. You have to let that go and treat them like you're like, hey Dennis, how's it going? I really enjoyed your talk
thank y'all
at
so
Black
much.
and
Thank
Tan.
y'all.
I hope you're doing well. And just start with that. And I could say something, and I'm sure there's plenty of things that you're interested in. It's
Yeah,
like,
let me go to.
let me just take a guess that you're into anime. Alright, so you can be like, have you seen
so much.
Solo Leveling? No, have you seen One Piece?
You talking about anime?
Yeah.
One Piece that way too long.
Yeah, it's way too long. See, you see, I should just join the conversation. She just heard. We were literally having a conversation on how do you network and how do you make money.
Oh, yeah.
I was saying, just talk, just ask about something that you already know.
His eyes up.
And you saw I just jumped in. That's how it
Great
is.
example.
That's how it works.
Yeah, I graduated.
I wish I had business cards. That was something I forgot to mention. How do people keep in contact with me? Well, I have
I can take you and do
yeah, I have like my business cards too.
So I should give you a right there.
This is like my personal one. And it has a QR code so I can make sure you can my socials.
Really enjoyed it. I was just like, just right now.
I'm not that great at singing, but I do drum.
I think she's working with getting her
My favorite theater
way
was
with
Rousers on the
mentorship stuff, all the other stuff, whatever portions I already just mentioned.
Thank you so much.
But yeah, but yes, thank you so much.
I'll
Y'all, hope y'all enjoy the rest of
Yeah,
the day.
yeah.
We'll be sure to talk to Brenda and stuff. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I will talk to her soon.
Oh, I gotta turn the recording off.
Yeah, so try to talk to her soon. Have a good day, though.